Hi guys, it's Xenia. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I have time traveled back into the early 2000s and I'm honestly kind of living for it. I'm obsessed with this. Fun fact about me, I love everything early 2000s. A lot of my closet and just what I wear is heavily inspired by that era. I love juicy, my low-waisted pants, cute tops. I love Y2K fashion, which is honestly a big reason why I love thrifting, because I get to find beautiful vintage 90s / early 2000s pieces. I was born in 99, so I lived through the early 2000s, but I was young, you know what I mean? Like, I wish that I was the age that I am now in the early 2000s, but I do have my mom to thank because she put me in the cutest Y2K outfits. I will put some pictures of me young that I have here. And speaking of my mom, she had amazing Y2K style back in the day. She's honestly like my biggest inspiration, and to this day I'm so mad at her that she didn't save all of her outfits that she used to wear in the early 2000s. But anyways, today I'm going to share with you some Y2K early 2000s fragrances. These fragrances were so popular back in the day with celebrities. A lot of these are celebrity perfumes. It's giving Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, and I went into my collection and unknowingly I had so many of these fragrances. I guess I just gravitate to these scents so much. I intended this video to be like a top 10, but I think it's, let me count everything I have here. Okay, so I have actually 17 perfumes in this video, so I'm not going to talk too heavily about each one. I'm just going to kind of show you them and just briefly kind of describe. And let me know if you guys want this video in the body mist version, because originally I wanted to just combine the perfumes and body mist into one video. But when I saw that I had like 17 of these perfumes, I figured this video would already be like a million years long on its own. So I'll probably just end up making a whole separate body mist version. So with all that being said, let's get straight into it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already and turn your post notifications on, and let's get started. I don't even know where to begin. I have so many perfumes. Let's just start with this because I think she is probably the queen of Y2K early 2000s, and that is the iconic Pink Sugar. This smells like early 2000s to me. It has such a nostalgic kind of vibe to it. There's really not much to explain about this perfume. If you just want to smell super girly and you just want to smell like walking cotton candy, this is the scent. It's just pure cotton candy in a bottle. Pink Sugar is always just a little staple in my collection. It's perfect for layering because it is more of a simple scent. It's just pink and sugary, like literally the names. And for whatever reason, this is the biggest compliment magnet ever. I swear they put pheromones or something in here because it just doesn't even make sense. It's such a simple scent, but yet people go crazy for that. Another big staple for the early 2000s, Britney Spears Fantasy. This is more of an elevated version of Pink Sugar in my opinion. It's not as simple as Pink Sugar because it does have that candy, cotton candy type element into it, but there's a lot more happening in here. There's a cupcake note in here. It's very sweet, but it's also balanced by some pink girly florals without being too floral. And then you also have kiwi in here, which kind of just tones down all of the sweet notes that are in here. It's still very, very sweet, but I think that kiwi just adds a little burst of tangy, juicy sweetness that just works really well with all the other notes. Britney Spears Fantasy is just a classic. I'm sure like 90% of my audience knows what this smells like, or at least has worn it at some point, but to this day I love Fantasy. And speaking of Fantasy, I also have Midnight Fantasy. I feel like this is also a big Y2K early 2000s classic. Now obviously there's a lot more that she is even releasing nowadays that are flankers, but I think these two are the OGs of the whole Y2K early 2000s era. Midnight Fantasy actually doesn't smell like Fantasy at all to me. It actually just smells purely like a blueberry lollipop to me, but for whatever reason, again, this one, Fantasy, Pink Sugar, I don't know what it is about these scents, but they are so complimented. I'm pretty sure I've told this story before, but I literally got a compliment on this perfume when I used to work at Target. I think I was stocking the shelves or something, and my literal geometry teacher that I had in high school complimented me on this perfume. I don't think he knew who I was because this was way after I had graduated high school, and also I was wearing a mask because it was COVID era, but I had this scent on and he asked me for help for something and I helped him, and then right when he was about to leave, he's like, by the way, I have to tell you, you smell amazing. And I was just like, the last thing I was expecting today is to be complimented on how I smell by my geometry teacher, but There's a first time for everything. Okay, let's talk Juicy because I think Juicy just owns the Y2K early 2000s. First of all, not even just perfumes, but I don't know what they put in their products. I love everything about Juicy Couture. I have a whole Juicy Couture purse collection. I literally just bought a new purse recently. I got it from a reseller, and if you know anything about vintage Juicy Couture purses, like I'm not talking about the new ones, I'm talking about the original Juicy Couture purses because those are where it's at. They are going for like literally thousands online right now. Like if you have a vintage Juicy bag in your collection, you can sell that ish for a lot of money. I'm sure probably nobody would care for this video, but if you guys want like my Juicy Couture purse collection, let me know because I have a whole collection. I love my Juicy purses. They're like my favorite thing in my closet. Anyways, speaking of Juicy, their fragrances really just are the best. I think the most iconic Juicy fragrance is just the classic Viva La Juicy, which shockingly I don't have in my collection. I have had it in my collection. I absolutely love that scent, but I have a scent right here that I'm actually also going to talk about that is just the same, but in my opinion a little bit better than Viva La Juicy and a little bit stronger, and that has been like my signature scent for years, so I kind of just keep that. But I do have these four Juicy fragrances right now. First off, this is the OG Juicy, like Eau de Parfum Juicy Couture. Juicy Couture does mainly more, I would say, kind of like juvenile, girly girl type fragrances, but I think out of most Juicy fragrances that I've smelled, I would give it to these two as being the most mature, sexy, sophisticated ones, whereas the rest are just more fun, pink, girly, bubbly, flirty, and not the most mature, which I love. I'm not saying that in like a bad way, it's just in terms of description. But these two definitely smell more elevated. So we have the OG Juicy. This one has a ton of notes. It has caramel and all these sweet notes. There's a sweetness to it, but it's more white florally kind of vibes. If you've ever smelled Burberry London, it's very, very similar to that. And then Couture Couture. This one is also incredible. This is another huge compliment getter, mainly from my husband. He loves every time I wear this perfume. I think my favorite Juicy fragrance is Juicy Couture Bodacious, which I'm so sad about. I think more than halfway through with this, but I'm just savoring every last drop because this is discontinued. They don't make this anymore. It's like Viva La Juicy meets creamy cotton candy. It's so sexy to me, girly. It's like the best fragrance ever. Why did they discontinue this? Juicy, please bring this back. I will literally buy like 5 bottles. And then of course, Gold Couture. This is Viva La Juicy meets caramel sweetness. It's just like a bunch of caramel added into the DNA of Viva La Juicy. So I think that's another reason why I don't have Viva La Juicy in it, because I have all these flankers that smell kind of similar with like different vibes, and then I have Tease, which I'm going to talk about next, which smells exactly like Viva La Juicy, so that's why I don't currently own it. But Tease is one of my signature scents. I've been wearing this for years. This was a fragrance that I met my husband with, which was about 7 years ago, and to this day, every time I wear this, he always compliments me, and it's a very nostalgic scent for me. This perfume is sexy. It smells like a Victoria's Secret angel. I feel like every woman should own Tease. MAC Candy Yum Yum is another one that I don't know if this necessarily has come out in the early 2000s, but to me, smelling this, it smells like the early 2000s. It's very much giving the name. Candy Yum Yum smells like guava, juicy, sweet candy to me. There's guava in here, there's cotton candy. When I first got this, I didn't actually love it because I just felt like for a perfume that's literally called Candy Yum Yum, I was expecting this to be way more sugary, but it's surprisingly like a fresh, sweet kind of fragrance. There's a lot of fresh, juicy fruitiness in here, mainly from that guava, which now I've come to really love. And I think my favorite part of this is the dry down. For a long time, this was like my designated bedtime scent. I don't know why. It's not like it's a bedtime scent, but I used it as that and I was obsessed. But I love wearing this. Another one I love for layering, this with pink sugar, beautiful. Literally smells like cotton candy and guava candy mixed together. So good. These two are also very similar scent profiles, but they are from the early 2000s. We have the OG Nina Ricci and then More and More by Cacharel. A lot of Cacharel perfumes are very Y2K to me, but these two specifically, I really love. I actually grew up on these scents. My cousins used to wear these back in the early 2000s. My mom used to wear these. They're very specific scents. They do not make perfumes that smell like these anymore. I feel like the closest thing that I can kind of reference to these smelling like nowadays is probably Burberry Goddess. They're like Burberry Goddess minus the vanilla, if that makes sense. Like there is sweetness to them, but they're more tangy, and they're very similar, both of these. So I really love both of these. I've always kept them around in my collection because they just remind me of my childhood and growing up in the early 2000s. Jessica Simpson Fancy is another very fun, sugary early 2000s scent. This smells like caramel. It's very sweet, but it also has a lot of florals in it. Specifically, it has gardenia, which if you've been watching me for a while, I used to hate this perfume because everyone always described it as this sweet caramelly kind of scent, whereas I smelled gardenia more than anything, and I personally do not like gardenia. It's one of my least favorite florals. I just feel like it smells too mature. I also don't tend to love a lot of white florals, but I have come to really like this now. I still get the gardenia in it, but I do get that caramel at the same time. Kind of reminiscent of Gold Couture in a way. I do prefer Gold Couture, but I do wear this from time to time and I really enjoy it. As you guys know, I've done many declutters and I haven't actually decluttered this one, so it's in my collection for a reason. I do enjoy wearing it. Miami Glow by JLo. A lot of JLo perfumes are very early 2000s Y2K, but Miami Glow is just the best of the best for me. I've been speaking about this since pretty much the beginning of my channel, and I have like 3 of these perfumes. I think this is probably the perfume that I have the most backups of. I will never go without Miami Glow. It's like a staple. I don't have anything or have smelled anything that smells even remotely close to Miami Glow. This is such a unique fragrance. Obviously, celebrity perfumes are not the most unique fragrances, but this one is. This one just smells like a tropical vacation. It's like a little bit of sunscreen, but not too much. Like, it doesn't literally smell like sunscreen like a lot of perfumes do. It has that just beachy, sexy vibe. If I close my eyes and I smell this, I literally feel like I'm on the beach. I don't know how they were able to capture every single element of a tropical vacation in a perfume, but they did. It's beautiful, it's sexy. I love it. My husband loves it. Get compliments on it always. Lolita Lampica is also a fragrance that I grew up on. I used to actually have a dupe called Mini Sexy and I was obsessed with that perfume, and then years later I discovered that it was actually a dupe for Lolita Lampica, so I went out and bought Lolita Lampica, and as soon as I smelled it I was like, yes, that is that perfume. This is sugary, it's cherry, but cherry done in the most perfect way I have ever smelled. It's like licoricey, it's sweet, it smells so whimsical and fairy-like to me. It just smells like a perfume that Tinkerbell would wear, and it just heavily smells like that whole early 2000s Y2K era. This perfume is kind of different from the ones I just talked about because I feel like what a lot of these perfumes have in common is that they are more so sweet and girly. Emphasis on sweet though, and this is the freshest one, but for some reason Versace Bright Crystal reminds me of early 2000s. I think the majority of people do love sweet fragrances, but there were still baddies that loved their freshies, and this one is like a freshy baddie early 2000s kind of fragrance. This just smells like fruity, fresh. It literally smells like you just stepped out of the shower. It's so refreshing. If you wear this on a hot day, it's like a cold drink of water. Such an uplifting fragrance that never feels too heavy. Then I have the Justin Bieber perfume. This is, which one is this? Girlfriend, I think? Yes. First of all, the bottle, I really don't like this bottle. What were they thinking with this bottle? It kind of has that Ariana Grande type component situation where it's like this thing and you can take out the actual perfume. For a long time I wanted to just throw out this slinky type situation. I feel like this alone though looks very Y2K. It's giving me colors of the Bratz slash Y2K kind of era, but I just don't get it. It's literally a slinky. Like, I think I just broke it. There's not really much to describe about this one. This has a very basic celebrity perfume type vibe to it. It kind of smells like Wonderstruck. It smells like all the Nicki Minaj perfumes. It's sweet, fruity. It smells really good though. It kind of does also remind me of Juicy Couture, Viva La Juicy, and all of that. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun preparing this video as well. I knew I love these perfumes. I love the whole Y2K early 2000s, but I didn't realize I had so many. I guess I just unknowingly gravitate towards these perfumes. That is it for today's video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you want to see the body mist version of this. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and turn your post notifications on, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!